Minnesota Vikings drafted number 14 overall in the upcoming player selection meeting. And it's a bit of an awkward spot where there will be a lot of talent on the board, but is there a problem in that there's too much talent? It's one of those inverse things that are actually a problem. And if they can't trade down, how do you pick just one? Do you go BPA, which you should, or do you draft for need? And basically every pick, someone's going to be like, that's a reach. That player was not high on my draft evaluation board. I get it, right? Or maybe the Minnesota Vikings have one of the best scouting departments in the National Football League, have their draft board a little bit different than your board or some of the National Media Jabroni Haircuts draft boards, etc. Sure. But here are top 5 reaches that actually make a little bit of sense for the Vikings. And yes, trade down to get more value, blah, blah, blah. But like as we've talked about ad nauseum, it takes 2 to tango. So a team would actually want to come up and then give commensurate value. And sometimes that won't happen, right? So let's talk about 5 reaches. Number 1, Christian Barmore, defensive tackle out of Alabama. Now, this one seems like less of a reach, but the Vikings had one of the worst defensive interiors in the league last year. Barmore, 6'5", 310, redshirt sophomore, was a rotational player 2019 and even the start of 2020. Played through an injury to start the year, got off to a slow start, and then wrecked the college football playoff against Notre Dame and Ohio State. Really was a man amongst boys out there. 89.9 PFF grade for the season, 39 pressures, 8 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, by the way. Is the best defensive tackle in a sort of a not top tier defensive tackle draft, but there is going to be a lot of value day 2, and he is a man-child. He really is, where he's got the size, he's got the physicality, he's got the quickness, and he just needs quite a bit of refinement, and he has the potential to be a top-flight player, and Andre Patterson just got to be like, let's go. Could have used another year of seasoning. Like, if he had another full season, like how he played down the stretch in 2020, he would have been a top 10 pick next year. Or even like a top 5 selection like Quinnen Williams, also former Alabama defensive tackle. So even though 14 seems like a reach at the moment, you're betting on the come. You're betting on his potential. He's solid against the run, and he is a problem rushing the passer. I would absolutely love and adore Christian Barmore at 14. Next up, number 2, reach for the Vikings at 14. Trevon Moehring. Safety coming out of TCU. Like Barmore, he is the best at his position in the draft, but 14 does seem a little bit early to start going safety. 6'2", 208 junior, phenomenal free safety for TCU. Yes, was teammates with Jeff El Jefe Gladney. 74.6 PFF grade, 8 passes broken up, 2 interceptions, 51.7 quarterback rating when thrown at, and he is a ball hawk in every sense of the word. Zone coverage monster, also can man up versus tight ends in the slot. He's extremely impressive. Now, would he be a reach? I guess yes and no. Like, if he's the top guy on your board and if the Vikings have a different valuation. Now, I wouldn't expect it given the way that they've evaluated safeties before, and they haven't taken a first-round safety since Harrison Smith back in 2012. But he would replace Anthony Harris this year, who's leaving in free agency in all likelihood. Plus, Harrison Smith, even though he probably is going to be extended, hopefully. As of right now, Harrison is in a contract year, so there's no guarantee that he'll be in purple past 2021. And even if he is, he's going to be 33 years old in 2022. So you have to start estate planning on the back end of that defense. And if you take Moehrig, and then you got Dantzler and Gladney and Harrison Hand, the future of that secondary looks pretty damn bright. Yeah. Next up, reach number 3 for the Vikings at 14. Jaycee Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina. So now we're starting to get into it. Vikings spent a first, third, and a fifth on cornerbacks last year on El Jefe, Dantzler, and Harrison Hand, respectively. Zimmer always gets his cornerbacks. Become a meme at this point. You look at Mike Hughes, you look at Trey Waynes, you look at Mac Alexander in the second, you look at, well, before Zimmer, but you had Xavier Rhodes in the first round 2013. But Jaycee Horn is by near consensus the number 3 cornerback in this class, behind Caleb Farley of Virginia Tech, behind Patrick Surtain the second out of Alabama. But Jaycee Horn is a damn good player, man. He really is. A son of Joe Horn, so you know that he can mirror and pattern match receiver routes. He's going to be good to go there. 6'1", 205, has length, 78.4 PFF grade last year, 5 passes broken up, 2 interceptions. All those, by the way, were against Auburn, because Wardham Eagles like, okay, we're going to test Jaycee Horn. Yeah, 54.9 quarterback rating when thrown at. And if Farley and Surtain are gone, and it does seem like a little bit of a reach, but Not really. Like, Jaycee Horn is 95 cents to the Caleb Farley dollar, and he is a very good player. Plus, if you have Horn and Dantzler on the outside and Gladney in the slot, I mean, your cornerback room is going to be set for the next 3 to 4 years. And I don't want the Vikings to take an edge rusher or a guard or a defensive tackle just because those are more pressing positions of need if Farley is higher on the board. If Farley's the guy, Farley's going to be the guy, and it would make sense. Next up, reach number 4 for the Vikings at 14, Carlos Basham Jr. coming out of Wake Forest. Now let's get nuts. Let's get going. So it's not a high-end hedge class, and I do like Quidipe and Aziz and Rousseau and Phillips a little bit more than Boogie, but I would understand this selection at 14 because Carlos Basham Jr. is a really special player, and 14 does seem a little bit high, especially if he does end up being the first or second edge rusher off the board, which at this stage he could be. 6'3", 281, grown-ass man, redshirt senior. Had a bit of a down 2020, even though he showed really well at the Senior Bowl. But 2019 was his peak season. Posted an 86.7 PFF grade, a 90.6 pass rushing grade, 60 pressures, and 11 sacks. Also has the size to be stout versus the run and set the edge. Now, him being primarily a left defensive end is really huge for specifically what the Vikings could want to do, where you put Basham at the left defensive end spot, you trust him against the close side of the field, and then, you'll flip Danielle Hunter to right defensive end to the blind side so he can go one-on-one against left tackles. Let's go. Let's go. I mean, Boogie Basham's ceiling, given his size, given his strength and quickness, he could be Cam Jordan. And I don't think that's too much of an outlandish statement. I think that is his ceiling. Lastly, reach number 5 and number 14 for the Vikings. Mac Jones, quarterback of Bama. Let's really get nuts. Let's go. And for the record, Trey Lance at 14 would not be a reach. But we've talked about how the Vikings, given the way that they're set up, and if they check a couple of boxes in free agency, 14 could be freed up to go BPA. And if that's Mac Jones, so be it. Because the Vikings do have 2/3, so they're going to have 4/4 and 2/5 and 2/6. So they do have draft capital later in the draft to address other positions of need. But if Mac Jones is your guy, then go get your guy. Now, I like Mac Jones. I don't love him. I think 14 would be exceedingly high for him. But you like the moxie, you like the leadership, you like the grit, you like how he came into Alabama. He committed to Alabama after Jalen Hurts had his phenomenal true freshman season, and he was in the same class as Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, that is competitive spirit at its highest. He was really committed to Kentucky. But arm strength, questionable, but like as we've talked about, that's not the be-all, end-all. Can you distribute the football accurately? Can you get rid of it? Can you sense pressure in the pocket? Can you do all those things? And trying to separate Mac Jones out from Bama, where he's always had a good offensive line, he's always had phenomenal weapons, it is tough to do. Plus, arm strength, yeah, and only 13.8% of his passes win 20-plus yards down the field. If you can just like dump it off to Devontae Smith and then he makes 3 moves and then gets 40 yards downfield, okay, that's pretty good offense, right? But Jones this year completed 77.4% of his passes for 494 yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 picks, a 141.6 NFL quarterback rating, which is, remember, on a scale of 158.3. Also, his PFF's number 1 graded quarterback at 95.8. Undefeated, undisputed national champion. All they do is win, win, win no matter what. But could this be another Christian Ponder situation? Could there be a run on quarterbacks and the Vikings were like, well, you know, we should probably get our quarterback of the future, and then yoink, you know, just taking him just like they did at Christian Ponder number 12 in 2011. Is Jones really that special that you ignore other needs and then you're going to sit him for a year, possibly 2, which would have benefited Christian Ponder greatly if Donovan McNabb had been good to go for at least a year, maybe 2. But, I mean, if Jones is the guy, I think I would disagree, but I would understand it. But so that's it. Those are top 5 reaches for the Vikings at 14. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work, post on the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.